always just like when like defenders have been getting like.
Showtime, people, Deluded. I'm back again. When this guy is not touring the world with several brands and interviewing, Ronaldo's, son and all of that. He's got time for the YouTube, man. Big up yourself. Hey, what he's telling me, bro.
Listen, last time I was here, you didn't have that little fancy overlay thing with the whole graphics and that. I see your thing upgrading as well. Fam.
I'm trying, man. Nowhere near where I need to be. How you doing, though, man?
Hey, listen, I've won 5-1. I'm blessed. My only slight disappointment, obviously, the window's closed and nothing really happened when it was open. So, yeah, unfortunate. But
you touched on that, man. Let's start with the positives, man. Arsenal 5, Man City 1. Talk to me, man, about it, man. Let me hear all your thoughts.
I'll be honest, it's a good thing I wasn't in the stadium for that game for once, because I would have been levitating, like crowd surfing and that. I'll be real. Like, if the moment that Lewis Skelly scored, I would have jumped down and been surfing onto the pitch like that. So I can't complain. I thought ahead of the game, personally, I was quite confident, but not of a 5-1. I thought like a little 2-0, like City. I've seen them crumbling in second halves quite a lot this season. I thought, all right, let's do like a professional 2-0 and just keep our foot on the gas a little bit behind Liverpool. But 5 was, fairs, man. I didn't expect that at all.
And I think everyone's like that. In that, obviously, when you think of City, you have to respect them. They're obviously a big club. We know what they've done in the game. But that being said, we know at this present moment, regardless of what we have to say about our club, our form is better. We're higher than them in the table. There was a healthy bit of confidence. You said 2-0. I went with 2-1. I mean, there will be someone that lies and say they predicted 5-1. You couldn't have seen it. Do you think this can kickstart our season or restart it? Restart the kickstart.
It's tough because literally tomorrow, Newcastle, I'm not feeling too comfy about that one because St. James's Park, they're going to be fighting like their lives depend on it. Obviously, if, we are hungry for trophies, but them, man, they haven't sniffed.
It can get dark over there, man.
How many decades? So I honestly think tomorrow will say a lot. Like, I don't really respect the Carabao Cup, I'll be real, but regardless.
Why? Do you think you have a right to say that as an Arsenal fan at this moment in time?
No, regardless of what team I support, I just think no one actually cares about the Carabao Cup until you get to the semi-final. Like, if you get there, it's like, oh, fairs, let me take it seriously now. But before that, it's like, let me play a couple kids or whatever, see what happens, and then you reach semi-finals. I know, we need a trophy, but it's not something that if we're to win Carabao Cup, I'm now going to be screaming and dancing like, you, man, like, look at that, like, we got a Carabao. Like, FA
I'm
Cup,
shameless, I am. It's the most important trophy if we win it. If we somehow come back from buying
the English Super Copa, so I hear that one. Like that one, I hear that. But the Carabao, there's just something about it that I can't rate. However, I do feel as though if we're to lose tomorrow or like draw or win by 1 goal, whatever, get knocked out, I do feel like the conversation, knowing how Arsenal fans are, it's going to all be about what happened in January. Why didn't you sign this guy? Why didn't you sign that guy? What was the point of beating City? So it's unfortunate, but when you say kickstart, in the league, maybe we have to just keep on hoping that at some point Liverpool drop it and then we start sniffing blood. But at the moment, they keep on just scamming their way out of good wins, innit? So it is what it is, man.
I think you're bang on the money, man. Where do you stand on our Champions League and Prem chances now, then?
Ooh. Champions League's a tough one, because honestly, it depends on, I think it's like, is it January or February 22nd or whenever the for like us to get invited. Obviously, the little man, they go and play like next week and that. The real guys, they get invited later. And it's quite clear that one side of the draw is a lot trickier than the other one. Obviously, you're going to have to play the best anyway, but you'd think that with Saka coming back in maybe like a month and a half, 2 months, you'd rather avoid the bigger teams in last 16 or whatever. And then maybe as the quarterfinals come, now we start facing the other team. So Champions League, honestly, if I can avoid Real Madrid, because no matter what kind of form they're in,
Real Madrid they got is brazy.
Yeah, if I can avoid Real Madrid, I'm not that worried about many other teams. Liverpool home and away would be a tough one. I can't lie. And obviously, I'm not saying we have the heritage to go and pack in anyone, but on our best day, we can give Barca trouble. We can give Bayern trouble. It's just a matter of, I guess, who's available, who's fit in their times, what kind of form we're in. So Champions League, I'd probably be more confident of doing something there than in the league right now, purely because the gap is just like it's too much now already. We fumbled it in like December or November times, and it is what it is.
You mentioned it there, yeah. Obviously, we're all hoping Saka's back fit. Definitely with us not bringing in players, yeah. You slightly mentioned you only feel Real Madrid. Like, without Saka, with our depleted squad, latter stages of the Champions League, assuming no one gets injured, are you really that confident on the champs? Like, because there's some big teams in there.
I'm confident. It's more so that, like, the league is just, bro, the point gaps is too much, man. It's too much. So you ask me which one am I more confident of? It would be like, if there's ever a year to finally do something in Champions League, just let Lewis Skelly, Ethan Waneri, all these man, just let them be fearless and not be burdened by the last. Well, obviously, we just got back in Champions League, but in terms of our previous history, getting knocked out last 16, last 8, last 16, last 8, maybe these men aren't burdened by that pressure. Maybe something different can happen. I don't know, innit? I look at, obviously, Barcelona, you'd say are probably the next team after Liverpool, like, worldwide. And when I watch Barcelona, the one team that can give them problems, I don't know how, like, PG or whatever the rules are on YouTube, but let's say...
Go ahead, man.
Terrorismo ball, shall we say. That seems to be what can stifle...
A good way of articulating it still.
If you go head-to-head with Barca, like we saw Madrid do, you're going to get slapped. But we're the kind of team that, when we feel like it, we can be the T word, innit? I don't want to get you demonetized, but we can be that, you know? Osama and them, man, we can do that.
This guy's
I feel like that's the best way to approach if we're to get a Barcelona. Liverpool, who knows what's going to happen. So that's why I say, like, I feel like we're more equipped for them kind of European games where we never really get slapped by anyone because we have Gabriel, Saliba, Rice, etc. Nobody really packs us in. And I feel that's important for a two-leg kind of process. So we'll see.
You mentioned 2 legs, yeah. That sets this up perfectly because at the Emirates, I believe we can give anyone a game like we did versus Bayern Munich. We weren't terrible at their place, but we didn't do enough. And ultimately, that's where the job was kind of done, right? Are you not nervous about the away games? Because even at this moment in time, we didn't play bad against Inter. I know we lost, but there was a dodgy penalty. Atalanta, we kind of got done. Did the away games kind of scare you in Europe?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because one of the best things about us recently has been our away form in the Premier League, innit? Like, we seem to just go to stadiums and send them backyard. Like,
and just handle business.
They start showing Sky Sports, their fans are leaving like minute 30. But then in Europe, again, we haven't really got that pedigree to be sending guys back to their yard. So I do feel like last year probably would be a learning curve, innit? Like, as always, most of these players haven't played Champions League before, other than the ones that we've brought from Chelsea or City or whatever. Most of them, that's their first time playing Champions League. So you learn a lot from these things. And all I can do is hope that they take these things on board. You're right. Atalanta was very smelly. I think Inter, I'll be real, they got a little bit lucky.
We got zanged with the penalty. We got zanged. And the obvious issues that we have.
Or whatever with Dumfries. And then that's it. I didn't even see them sniff the box at all. But we'll have to just wait and see it. There's not a lot I can really say until I see what kind of teams we're playing, because every matchup brings its own element of difficulty. Like, I don't, for example, player for player, I'd say, yeah, sure, we're better than like Atleti. But do I want to go to Wanda Metropolitano with Simeone doing like that to the fans? I don't want that.
We saw when they went down to 10 men the other day, like it can get dark. But this is the champs.
Yeah, just send me like PSV or something, bro. I don't want like all these scary ends personally. So who knows? Who knows?
You know what? Yeah, you haven't said it, and I don't think you're necessarily saying this, but I kind of get the rhetoric in that it's not that you're putting the Champions League above the Prem, but it feels like maybe there's a bit more optimism there than in the Premier League. Because as you said, Liverpool have shown multiple ways of winning. Fundamentally, they're getting points, right? If you was Mikel Arteta, which obviously you're not, you're light skinned, do you focus on the Prem or the Champs? Like, today, is all the eggs in the Prem or is it in the Champs? If you had to pick one.
As a Ghanaian man who loves eggs, I don't think you have to put the eggs only in. You haven't got to put the eggs in one basket. You can do eggs differently. You can boil it. You can fry it. You can do a lot of things with eggs. You know? So you haven't just got to say, yeah, you know what? Boom, I'm focusing on Champions League, because that's how you end up messing up severely. In my opinion, you keep on doing the best you can to put the pressure on Liverpool, just in case. You don't want to start giving them guard of honor like weeks in advance.
I don't want to do that at Anfield.
You want to push them right to the very end, so that at least if they're going to win it, work for it. And then if you're winning games in the Premier League, naturally, you're going to have the confidence now to go to wherever it may be, Allianz or whatever stadium, where you're feeling like, yeah, we're that guy now. Like, we've just smoked City 5-1. Confidence must be extremely high. So I don't think you should prioritize one or the other. I think keep doing what you're doing in the league and treat the Champions League how it is. They are one-off games where if you get a bit of luck your way, you're chilling. So, yeah.
That's it for me, but I'm the other side in that. I agree with what you said. I think the Prem, the gap is too big. Liverpool can't stop. I just think there's not more margin for error, but there's more margin for error. Or if you were to ask me, am I more confident in the semis and, you know, getting that bit of luck and making the difference and doing that Real Madrid thing in the champs versus overcoming this Liverpool thing in the league? I'd go for the league because I'm not necessarily confident going to Anfield, but we've got to play them. There's always hope that they drop points. I think there's more margin for error. Like for me, we're approaching that point in the Champions League where I reminisce about Bayern Munich in that we competed across the 90 minutes, but ultimately, like you said, it's decided by moments. And I don't know Saka's status. Obviously, I think it's a big burden for the young Ethan to handle. As you rightly said, there's a lot of men that have played champs, got experience, but I don't really have confidence in that regard. So I think the Prem is improbable. I think the champs is impossible in that regard. Obviously, we've spoken on them 2 trophies, right? We know we're out the FA Cup. I don't want to remind you of that. League Cup, we're technically in it, but we could technically be out of it. Hopefully, there's a comeback, right? Where do you stand if Mikel Arteta ends up trophyless? I got to ask you, because I know as a content creator, this is what you asked.
No, of course. But again, obviously, as you would know as well, it's completely dependent on the context. Like, for example, am I going to go out the Premier League with a complete whimper and I'm now fighting for Champions League for the last 4 or 5 games? Or is it a thing where, all right, you know what, I don't want to say that I'll be happy that we pushed to the end and came second, but I would be more accepting of the fact that, you know what, we closed the gap.
A bit more leeway.
To 3-4 points, whatever. And likewise, Champions League, if there's like a disgraceful loss to like a Benfica or like a whatever Dutch team or something, I'm going to be a lot less forgiving than if, just by example, let's just say we're to get to the final and Madrid beat us. Do you know what I mean? So obviously you're going to ask questions regardless. And again, the biggest question will be, well, you knew from like December when Jesus was out for this season and Saka's missing 3-4 months that you literally have only Havertz. You knew that. Everyone knew that. The board knows that. Is it a lack of ambition that you man didn't think, you know what, let's just try a little something? That's what the question marks are going to be. I don't think the questions will be around Arteta as a coach or as a manager individually, because I've just seen him slap Pep's bar lead like that yesterday or 2 days ago in a way that I've never seen Pep's head get slapped before. So with
young G's as well.
You know what I mean? It's 17-year-old, 18-year-olds breaking records. It is what it is. Like, so I'm not saying like I'll be happy if he doesn't win. Obviously, I want to win trophies, but let me see how it manifests itself in it. If we are embarrassing ourselves, then there's big question marks. But all I can really ask from this point, I can't reverse Aston Villa and Fulham away and whatnot. It's too late. Like, there's nothing I can do about it now. But if I have like a run like last season where it was 16 out of 18 wins or something like that, if I do that again, you never know what can happen, innit? Liverpool are Liverpool. They're going to manage to, like I said, even when they're playing quite meaty, you're going to see Salah minute 68. It's time to bag. So, yeah, tough.
And kind of what you said there, what you just said literally there is why, especially that point around our run towards the end of the year, that's why if you had to ask me, I'm more confident of us doing the thing in the Prem than the champs, because in the champs, honestly, I see it as we'll compete across 90 minutes, but we might get a 1v1 chance, may not necessarily bag, the opposition might, and yeah, we can do the context thing, which would be true that we competed, we did this and that and the other, but at the end of the day, they're through to the next round, we're not. Where do you look at Mikel Arteta then? Like, forget the Mikel Arteta in, out, shake it all about. If he ends up trophyless, like, obviously he's a good manager, but the conversation now is getting over the line. Where do you purely look at Mikel?
It's a difficult one, because I'm not going to lie to you. Obviously, Arne Slot coming in first year and grabbing a trophy, it does look a bit peak, or whoever it might be. It might be Nuno Espirito Santo, innit? It might be someone else might pick up that trophy. I don't know. So it is looking a bit peak. But again, it's a tough one, because this season in particular, he's had his faults in numerous games, but also there are times where it's like, what more can he possibly do? What's that phrase about you bring the horse to the water, but you can't force my man to drink? Sometimes I'm seeing we're creating chance after chance after chance. And guys, there was a spell of about like a month where man were just taking a piss, just missing every single chance. And I'm thinking,
same thing as last year. Slightly.
Yeah, like we've brought you these chances. Yeah, just put one away, and the game is completely different. But now we're in a scenario where I go back to what you said about Champions League and Premier League. We're in a scenario where every Premier League game feels like it's life or death.
It is.
Like,
It's a cup final.
If we don't win, say bye to the title. So there's a lot more pressure on every single match. Whereas I do feel like Champions League, because we kind of went through so comfortably, what was like third or whatever, lost only to Inter and then obviously drew one as well, Atalanta in it. Aside from that, I feel like Arteta as a whole, I'm calm with him. Like, I feel as though the window we had in the summer, I'll be real, online and that, I can be like, yeah, like cold. But realistically, even this time, I was telling guys, man, I can't even pretend to be gassed about this. I can't pretend.
What'd you give it out of 10?
3. And that three is Colour Fury. Like, fairs. Like, you're someone that, okay, you can contribute. Like, and I know this, it might hurt you, but it hurt me as well, because I thought, you know what? A Jamaican man coming to Arsenal, it makes sense. It hasn't made any sense, bro.
It hasn't.
I don't know if you can defend it.
No, you can't, bro. Like, all you could sit there.
Maybe like he's helping Ethan Waneri a little bit, like, but other than that.
Yeah, no, it's tired, man. And like the worst thing about Sterling is him playing on the right hand side. I think Girona, him on the left, he looked a bit better. Obviously, missed the penalty in the bars on the floor. Like you said, he's a yard man. We're a culture club. Mikel Arteta worked with him at City. Yeah, I can be angry after telling me about Nico Williams and this, that, and the other. I'm not saying it's an excuse, but it is better than nothing. But that's where it brings me on to what
I don't know if it's better than nothing. I don't know if it's better than nothing. I'll be honest. I mean, I'll probably find another academy kid and give him the minutes.
I'm with you with that, but we know Mikel Arteta, he's not on the Arsene Wenger thing with the Highlanders, isn't it? You got to be on the Ethan, the Lewis Skelly. Actually, he's got to take a shine to you. I just think, I actually think Sterling is just a relationship of convenience. You haven't played that much football, but you're playing more than what you would have got at Chelsea. You got exiled. Arteta knows you. We need a body. That was it. And that's why I wanted to bring this conversation on, and that. How do you feel about the club? Because obviously, like, we were 2 points off City. There's a lot of bullish chat from everyone. You look at that window, even if we disregard injuries and everyone's fit, we're still a bit short. Bearing in mind, Mikel Arteta said at the beginning and end of 2024, something on the lines of, we've got one of the smallest squads. And in the build up to the City game, he said, we've got 19 players. We've got 3-4 long-term injuries, and we're trying to compete on 4 trophies. I don't think Arteta has necessarily handled the budget in the best way, but I don't think there's necessarily a winning mentality from those above. It feels to me, how we've got in the Champions League, our foot is off the gas. Like, I genuinely feel, if we were, you see how January just gone, right? I think if we were like 5th, 6th, and like top 4 was the only goal, I genuinely think the club would have bought players. I just think we're kind of comfortable at this moment. But like, I want to ask you, like, how do you feel about the ownership? Because it does come from the top down, isn't it? And you look at the season, the summer we had, based on the season that we just came into, it's not really good, is it?
Yeah, it's difficult because obviously we're not in the offices to know exactly what.
Yeah, we're not flies on the wall.
We don't know who's pushing what and who's trying their best to make certain things happen. But obviously, like I said earlier, it does seem like a lack of ambition that we've spoken for 2 years about when City fall off, let's go get it. City have fallen off, and we're now looking up at Liverpool.
And they'll be back next year.
Yeah, and you'd think, you know what? Yeah, it's 6-9 points, whatever, if they beat Everton with their game in hand. It's a lot. But at the same time, when you just smoke City 5-1, and you go, I'm not asking for like Mbappe or something. Like, just go and get someone that Liverpool.
Just help the squad, man.
Liverpool are now thinking, oh, okay, like these men, they're not going to just let us, just run through and win this league by like 15, 16 points. So when it comes to the board, it's a very techie one. The only possible excuse I can possibly think of, which would still be a lack of ambition, is that therefore, you know what, 9 points, it's a bit peak. Do I want to go for a striker that I'd be somewhat comfy with in the short term, or do I go in the summer for someone big? The problem is, we've been here before where they say, yeah, we're going to wait till summer. I promise you, man, summertime, we're going to link up. And then that never happens in summer, bro. So,
facts. So merry-go-round.
I don't know. I'm not pleased. Like, genuinely, I would have taken any random brother on loan. Just a body to freshen things up a little bit. Like, don't bring me back Fabio Vieira or something. Bring me something new that I'm unfamiliar with that can maybe get us a bit excited or keep legs fresh. They haven't done that. I don't know what the financial restrictions are in it. I haven't checked. Maybe they're on the Barclays thing where they've lost all their P's or whatever as well in it. I don't know what happened. But we'll have to wait and see, I guess, in summer when we go again and say, yeah, all the ITKs, we go again. Isaac, Osimhen, everyone, man.
Yeah, bro, all these ITKs, they can tell me this, that, and the third. You lot can tell me about the remit from the club. Sesko, Zubimendi, this thing in the summer, that in the summer. I hear that. I want to go carnival in the summer. Right now, it's February. I need to deal with what's in front of me.
I'm still waiting for Royce for the last 10 years, man.
I'm still waiting for Jan and Villa, to be fair with you, man. There's bare man that we're supposed to have signed. But that's the issue. It always feels like a next season thing. I do think Mikel Arteta, in isolation to his controllables, I do think he's done a lot good, but also think he shot himself in the foot. I extend that to the players, and I just honestly, I think it's a terrible mixture in the sense of I just think the Cronkies are happy with Champions League. Whether I agree with it or not, they put people in place. They want to be self-sufficient. So I'd never think we're going to kind of make that boost. And when you look in the summer, it looks like there was a bit of an emphasis on sales, and even the language was around that in January. I do want to ask about Mikel Arteta again, though, in the sense of obviously away from all those other factors. If you keep coming up short, like there's a lot of good throughout the season, but ultimately there's no trophies or none of the big ones. Like if we're here this time next year, at what point, I'm not even saying your cutoff point, but at what point do we have to assess a cutoff point?
I think it's an ongoing thing, to be fair. I think you're always going to be assessing it, because if certain people become available, then sure, you're talking. But there's not a lot of managers, personally, that I would comfortably swap out right now and say, yeah, you know what? I can trust you to take over now and deliver me trophies. Now, again, we don't know for a fact that to be true, because I can imagine Liverpool fans, they must have thought when Klopp's cutting, yeah, they kind of fell off last season, but there's going to be a big drop-off where they're going to be, fighting for Champions League, 6 or whatever. They couldn't expect in their wildest dreams that they're going to be 9, 12, 15 points ahead of everyone with Arne Slot, who's just coming from Eredivisie. So I'm sure there is a manager out there somewhere, but at the end of the day, it's not our job to go and scout these managers out. Yes, sure, next year, if we're still in the same scenario where we're making the same mistakes, then that's a problem. My thing I would say, however, is that a lot of the mistakes that are made are, if you will, first-time mistakes or tweaks that then get rectified season on season. So now my current issue is those occasions where we know Havertz in midfield doesn't work and we run it anyway. That's something where I say that's on you, because you've watched us play with Havertz in midfield time and time again, and it doesn't land. No, but like him playing at striker, I'm not saying like I love Kai Havertz or anything like that, but I can understand it. And he's doing...
No, I'm purely just talking about, like, it's nothing to do with Havertz. It's like, obviously, he's in front of goal where it's a regular basis now. You miss tap-ins in it. I'm not even getting at Havertz. That's you as a person. You're not clinical. So if we're trying to win a league with that man and he's doing his thing, he's actually performing a lot better than others. But that's my issue. If he is the one that I'm saying this about, if we want to do the top 14, great. But you see, when you want to go to the next level, the margins for error get a bit tighter, if I'm honest. That's where it's more like Arteta, the board. I don't know who, like you said, I'm not a fly on the wall. He keeps missing tap-ins. We shouldn't be living or dying by him necessarily scoring if we want to win a league title. Like it would be all the things we're doing, it would be romantic. It'd definitely be romantic if we somehow win the league right from this moment, right? But I also like to look at what's in front of my eyes without emotion. And I'm like, it would take a lot of external variables for us to achieve what we want to achieve. And that's where my frustration as a fan starts to come in, because I do think, like you said, I'm not a fly on the wall. I don't know what we're trying to do, but it does feel like we're repeating the same thing, even down to the lack of goals, even down to going back to Dubai, which I hope whatever they did in Dubai last time, they got to do that again to have any chance.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. But like, for Savant, you mentioned emotions there, yeah. For me, the reason why I mentioned the mistakes is because they seem to be changing year on year, where obviously, again, forget the first couple of years where he had to, I guess, revamp the entire...
Yeah, no. I kind of aired that because we needed to do what we need to do. I'll say the last 3 years, including now, is when it's like, all right.
We'll go like Jesus Zinchenko first season.
Yeah. This is where we're trying to, we're trying to do something.
And a lot of the issues were like, we were playing scintillating football, but it was too gung-ho basketball matches 24/7. So
first and second halves were very different.
Yeah, so he was like, you know what? Okay, we need to pattern this. They have now gone with the whole Gabriel Saliba full centre backs thing, and now it's like now we're a bit too conservative, and now that's the issue of like scoring goals. So I don't think it's like year in year out he's making the same errors. He's trying to adjust things in his first ever job. In fairness as well, he's adjusting things. It's just he keeps going a bit too much in one way rather than
need balance,
hitting that middle ground, which I'd like to think, regardless of what happens at the end of the season, it's like, all right, cool. Now let's get a 9 where on those games where it's not really clicking, we're not having a great day because you've put
just get us out of jail.
Someone do something to help me, bro. So I can't blame him for too much, other than, like I said, certain tactical things where I start seeing certain men play right back when I don't know how bad our record is with him at right back, but it needs to stop because.
And you see how he played in midfield and has been playing in midfield.
You're taking out one of your best midfielders to go and play right back where he does not play good, unless you go back like 5 years to Atletico Madrid. I'm not an Atletico Madrid fan, bro. I'm an Arsenal fan. I want my right back to be a highly performing right back now. So let's see how this season goes. At this point, a lot of the blame has to lie with our players, however, innit? Like they're the ones that.
Everyone's responsible because ultimately they're the ones playing.
Yeah, so it's tough, but I'm happy with him in terms of I believe all the players believe in him too.
No, I think that's a good point because I've got a lot of criticisms for Arteta. I've also got a lot of praise. I feel you can look at the situation and apply balance and say, you know what, I don't think Arteta is the guy. Likewise, you can think he's the guy. I don't feel you can like do the positive toxic thing and just accept everything. Neither do I think, even if you don't think he's the guy, I don't think you can make out he's shit and he's done nothing wrong. I think it's the middle ground. As you kind of alluded to, the rebuild thing, one love, one love. The conversation for me is getting over the thing. And in the last 3 years, including now, I would say the most thing that makes me a bit positive but negative at the same time is regardless of what other teams are doing, I can't say I think we've shot ourselves in the foot. I think we didn't win the league title last year because of certain games like West Ham. I think everyone forgets about West Ham at home where there was a million chances. The 2022-23 season, I kind of cut a bit of leeway because I feel we were probably not necessarily ready. We could have taken advantage, but we weren't necessarily ready. This season, I wanted to come into it with a bit more, okay, we've had 2 years. I wanted to see a bit of things, and I don't think I've necessarily been happy in myself from the start of the season to now. There's been moments, clearly last Sunday, I'd say PSG. I actually feel we're going down to 10 men at the Etihad, right? But this is where I want to, because we finally got some decent players, man. And that's where I feel Arteta makes a lot of good things. He also makes a lot of issues, like you kind of alluded to. I think the cultures from the club, I don't think they've necessarily helped him. I don't like the fact that, me and you can waffle about Ethan and Lewis Skelly from forever, innit? But if we're trying to win the Prem or the champs, majority of our fans' hopes are going to be on that young man's shoulders, which for me is unacceptable. I'm not a fly on the wall, but even things like, cool, Edu left. But what's going on with the sporting director? I have no doubt you're going to bring one in the summer, but January, where we all know it's been a techie one, can we pull a rabbit out the hat? There's been issues, which is why I feel from a sporting front, as a fan, it is frustrating. But when I take a step back, I don't feel those above Mikel Arteta necessarily want what he wants and necessarily wants what us fans want. I think Mikel Arteta's heart's in the right place. He's gone about things the wrong way. I just think certain men are happy with the champs. I want to share my screen with you because I have to ask you about, obviously, ultimately, we got nobody in it. Like we didn't sign no one. It kind of is what it is. In fact, before that, would you give Partey a new deal?
From a footballing perspective, it depends on the P's, I guess. Like, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because as far as our 3 midfielders go this season, ignoring Man City, Odegaard's probably been our worst performer out of the 3 with him, Partey and Rice. Rice has been consistently good as he always is. Partey,
some fans might not agree with that, but I agree.
Partey's thing is sometimes he'll play like he just banged fufu in the morning, like an hour before kickoff, and other times he plays
Sunday,
like he's Seedorf or something. Like I don't understand why there's such a discrepancy. So I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what the finances are like, innit? And I don't know what the replacements are. Because I know you've been banging on about Zubimendi for like 2 years. I'm still not really convinced on him. So if there's like a better midfielder that I can go for, by all means, like I'm down to go for it. But if it means I have to watch Mikel Merino, then no, thank you.
You took the words out of my mouth. Pause. Where are you at with him? Because I feel I'm not gonna lie, I think fans are being a bit harsh on him, if I'm honest. No. Let me cook. I think fans are being harsh on him. I think one thing that's his issue is if he was to come in, it should have been like you just mentioned Zubamendi, right? He's seen as a game changer midfielder, whether he is or not. If he came in with Zubamendi, I think people look at it differently.
What's he called at?
Okay, bro. I don't think he's called at anything. I think
what's he like decent at? What's he decent
I think he's a squad player. I just think you're calm for the squad. You see the role you're in now, how we're not waffling about you with City? I think that's your thing. I think my issue is in the summer, we needed level raises. We need to close the gap. And you've brought my man into the club. I don't think he excels at anything beyond the obvious. You know, I know there was a lot of ITKs and tactical dons saying he's a Xhaka replacement. I don't watch Sociedad week in, week out. But you can look at the man and say your thing is just winning the ball back, aerial duels, anything you do beyond that's a bonus. He's a squad don.
Do you think he's better than El Neni?
El Neni had more of an impact. I'm not going to cap.
This is
I've seen El Neni slap it against Barcelona. No.
Yeah, and meanwhile, I watch Mikel Merino in the box and he's heading our own players' heads and giving them concussions.
I think he's a squad. I think he's a squad player. I understand why people be harsh. I don't think he's adapted as quick as I would have wanted him to do. But I think the role you're currently playing now, which is nothing of note, that's what you always should have been. I'm not saying you. I didn't understand why people are looking at him as this game changer and they're saying he's a creative outlet. People didn't watch the Euros then because he's the water carrier. He's like a Spanish Declan Rice. I'm not even dissing Declan because he's playing as an 8. Your job is really to win the ball back and give it to the glamorous dons. It's like how you had Kante in the Leicester team regulating and then you're giving it to the Mahrez or whatever, or you're a nostalgia merchant like myself. You do all the content around the Madrid players. All of them Zidanes, all of them guys, when they're asked who's the most important player, the man say Makalele. That's your thing. Your thing is the squad thing. That being said, I do think Moreno look slower than Xhaka. I don't think you stand out anything. I think if it came to it as a football club, not necessarily Mikel Arteta, because I think he's the one that pushed for him. I think if there was limited resources or you had to watch what you're spending, I think that's one you could have been eyeing up for this year. Like if you got the game changer last year, you just need to supplement the squad with Jorginho and Partey leaving. I think that's what you needed to do. So you're not happy on Merino, at all.
Like I try to be like as polite as possible in it. Cause obviously I'm not trying to burn any bridges and that. You know what I mean? Like I need to still get at the Emirates, but at the same time, I try and think to like a midfielder that let's say I liked less than Merino at Arsenal, and I cannot. Like, that's how I mentioned. Like, think of all the midfielders we've had. Like, bear in mind, yeah. So you and I, we've grown up we're watching, like, let's say, I don't know, Vieira, Petit. Then you go into like Fabregas's, then your Cazorlas, Ozil, even Wilshere. Ramsey wasn't the most technically gifted, but Ramsey at least he gave me better than him. He gave me goals, and then you want me to now be like accepting of this? I'm sorry, man. This is not what I grew up on, bro. Like. Maybe if I was supporting Plymouth Argyle or something, that's like what I'm used to, where man just want to win jewels and that. But at the end of it,
even win that many jewels, I know statistically it might look a bit better. He's not tenacious.
Think of a midfielder. I promise you can't. Like Coquelin was still clear.
Yeah, no, Coquelin when Coquelin came into the team and was actually doing his thing, he had way more of an impact.
Yeah, so I cannot tell you a midfielder that I would have him over in the last 20 years.
I'd have to really sit down and think because there's been some shit, man. But no, I'm kind of with you on a serious note. You're bang on the money, but that's where it goes back to what we're saying about the summer. Like I think I'm with you in that. I think people are harsh on Calafiori. I think he's 22. I think he's got a lot of faults, but I think the positives are more clear. Obviously, nobody knew in hindsight. Everyone be a genius in hindsight. Nobody knew Lewis Skelly was gonna take his place or whatever. So it makes him look dead. But the reality is, that summer, nobody really looked amazing at this point. Moreno, we've just spoken of. Neto, we knew he's a number 2, but
I even forgot my man.
and I want to keep forgetting him after that Girona thing. Sterling, we tried, innit? We tried to do the culture thing. It's dead. It was never going to bang. The only benefit with Sterling is that you never know with Arsenal logic, but he's on loan, innit? So that's where I think it's a missed opportunity. That's where I'm kind of with you with what you said in January, and that, of course, we would love us to sign Sesko, Gyökeres, Williams, this, that, and the other. We're not asking for a madness. We're not, as you said, we're not asking for Mbappe. But you can't tell me there's not some level of player that could have come in and contribute because you're relying on Kai. Forget Kai's ability. The man looks like he's actually looking a bit knackered now. You got Ethan who's had an injury, and you have to give him scope to have a bad game. He's a young guy, isn't it? Trossard, I think, is finding his feet, but Trossard and Martinelli, we've been through those tribulations, and we're obviously there with Gabriel Jesus. I want to share my screen with you, because I want to get your thoughts on something. Yeah, now obviously my man, well, the journalists came out and they were doing what they do. Yesterday, apparently Sam Dean of the Telegraph said Arsenal could not sign the players they really wanted this month, and they were unwilling to invest in a player they felt would not improve the squad. They worried that buying the wrong man now would prevent them from buying the right man in the summer. Then there was a follow-up saying the other financial concern was that Gabriel Jesus, who will miss around a year, now cannot be sold in the summer. His high wages mean that Arsenal already committed significant financial resources on 2 strikers, even though only one was available. Now, I would say to this, I hear that with Gabriel Jesus, but there's no guarantee if fit you was going to be able to move him on anyways. And we were linked with Sesko in the summer, and we heard he didn't want to leave because, he wasn't going to play ahead of Kai Havertz. If we assume he said, forget that, I still want to sign for Arsenal, you would still have these guys on the books. So where are you at with that?
I think it sounds like the kind of excuse that I said was going to happen like 20 minutes ago, whatever, where it's like, you know what, let's wait till summer and really go for the guy that we want. But I can't remember the last time we really got the guy that we wanted as a forward. In I don't know how long. Like, I love Gabriel Jesus as well, but I'm one of his biggest defenders, like, forever. I'll still back him regardless. He wasn't like the number one choice for anyone. It was like, oh, that's sick. Like, we're getting, a guy from City that might want to prove himself. That's nice. We've not got, since Aubameyang, really, someone that as a striker that everyone's been like, yo, Fez, that's a big signing. There's not a lot of them about anymore, to be fair. So I'm not saying like there's 100 strikers. No, in fairness, that brother on my screen now, I didn't want him either. So
you didn't want Ollie Watkins?
No. I'll be real. You know what it is?
So you don't rate him at all?
I was becoming to like, I was getting to a point where I accept it. But again, if it's a thing where I pay 60 M's for Watkins, that means that's my striker now. Like, when I'm not going to get another striker. So if you want to tell me that my strikers for the next 2, 3, 4 years is Ollie Watkins and Havertz, listen, man.
So Watkins, Stacker, Nico Williams, that can't be a decent front three.
I'm not an Ollie Watkins guy like that at all, personally.
You know what? Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. But I'm shocked by you. Like, I get it. He's not my first choice, and I'm not saying you think he's dead, but I don't think he's the worst of option. He's Premier. I know people will bring up this season.
The point is, so if I know it's kind of impossible given that Aston Villa Champions League and whatever, blah blah blah. If in a hypothetical world, Watkins could come on loan, great, excellent. My problem is 60 M's. That means that's my striker now. Do you get it? Like, that means we're not going to pay 60 M's for Watkins, 65 Havertz, and then go and do another 70, 80, 90 on Isaac or one of the Bundesliga guys or whoever it is that you may want, or Osimhen. That's it. So am I happy going into title races and Champions League, hoping to try and win Champions League titles with Ollie Watkins as my number 9? No, I'm not.
So you're happy with what we got at the moment then?
No, I'm not happy right now. I'm not happy, but I'm saying I hear their point of view in terms of whether we sign him right now or not. We're not going to win the league with Ollie Watkins this season now, and it now hinders us in the following seasons as well. Which is why I'd have preferred a loan or a player that, for example, if I go Brentford now and I get any of the two, and Mbeumo or Wissa, both of them don't play Champions League, they don't play any kind of Europe. They're cutting immediately. We don't have to go and fight with Aston Villa about prices and wages, because at the end of the day, Ollie Watkins is playing Champions League this season. Aston Villa got top 8 just like we did. So it's a lot harder to drag him away. Someone like Mbeumo with something to prove, where he's, 25, I think he is. Although he looks like he's in his 30s. He's 25. Bring him. Or a Whistle or something, innit? Like, I'm not even, like I said, I'm not asking for like Mbappe. I'm not asking, I've been on the Osimhen hype train for however long. I'm not asking you to drag him from Istanbul. I'm just asking.
To get someone that can help us, man.
Yeah. And then, if you like, in summer and you want to reevaluate and then go for whatever big boy striker, cool, do that. But there's no point I'll be honest, getting Ollie Watkins would be similar to when we got Havertz.
100%.
Nobody really wanted it at the time. Where he put, no, as in like fans or whatever in it. Like, nobody really wanted Havertz, but we're happy with his contributions and stuff. He's done very well for what
he's done what he can in it. Like, it is what it is.
That 65 M's means that we now have not got, let's say, a pure 9 since.
Bearing in mind, Havertz was brought in to play in midfield as well. We're at with him through the middle.
Yeah, so I don't want to do that again.
Go on, no, because then I want to ask you then, because obviously I don't think you're wrong. Like I don't think you're wrong in what you're saying around Watkins. You know, obviously the current climate we're in, what we're in, right? But Arsenal bidded for him, so that kind of goes against their own kind of way they've gone about signings. Is it a panic buy for you, or is it a case of we was bidding for a man that you know you're not gonna get really and truly?
I don't know, honestly. Again, it's hard to know because I'll be real. During January and that, I kind of mute all these, man. Like, otherwise, if I wake up and I see Eduardo Hagen telling me we're signing like 48 players and that every morning, it's like it's too much for me. So I don't really follow the rumors too tough to know who we're linked with, because most of the time it's going to be someone on the internet generating a rumor, and then what happens is that player won't sign.
There's no credibility around it.
Now everyone's angry that we didn't sign a player that you just pretended that we wanted. So I don't know what the truth is about Ollie Watkins.
How would you been on? How would, obviously he's gone to Galatasaray, but the Athletic have come out and said we inquired about Morata. Where would you have been with
Honestly, if it was a loan thing, I'll be honest. Again, I'd have been happy with that.
On loan, I wouldn't be against it. We're at where we're at, innit? And I am desperate. We're at where we're at. If it was permanent, obviously it'd be cheaper than Ollie Watkins, but oof.
Yeah, that would. Hey, listen, if you're bringing me Morata and Havertz to a title race in 2025, I don't know. You know what I mean? But on a loan,
Martinelli not staying on side as well.
Yeah, but honestly, like, genuinely, yeah, this might sound ridiculous, isn't it? But the way Madrid are stats right now, I would have taken an Endrick on loan. Let him try to prove himself. Let him see what.
Is he even a real person? Like, I think he's an industry plant, man.
No. I was in the fields watching him on Bet365, man. When he was in Palmeiras, I was there. You go through my tweets here. I've mentioned Endrick before Fabrizio ever even knew who he was. So I've been there, man. I've been waiting for him to come home.
You need to go and scout, man. At least you'd have done better than Eddie. You would have come back with more than Marquinhos, mate. Like,
where even is he now? Is he back in Brazil or something? I think he's.
I don't even know where he is. I want to ask you about this, yeah, because I'm gonna get onto the next slide, innit? But it says here, Mikel Arteta on not signing a striker, even though I think his logic suggested he's disappointed. Anyways, he said we are disappointed in that sense, but as well we are very aware that we only want to bring in a certain kind of player. We have to be very disciplined with that. And then Tell's obviously gone to Spurs. I rate Tell highly. I'm not really into this. He's gone to Spurs. It is what it is, right? But apparently Mikel Arteta didn't just want to bring in a body. So does he kind of have to, based on what we did in the summer, based on what we did in Jan, we know he's not to blame for everything, but you have a hand in everything. Is it a case of, okay, you have to kind of hold that then? You kind of have to hold that. You can't stand in the rain and complain you're wet. You kind of have to hold that. We got what we got to the end of the summer season.
If Havertz gets injured tomorrow against Newcastle, is it tomorrow or Thursday? I assume it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
If Havertz gets injured against Newcastle, he has to hold that. Like that. Bro, what are we going to do? We're going to start playing Trossard up front, Martinelli as a 9, who I'm not saying they can't do it, but
it's going to get dark.
Do you know what I mean? It's something that we haven't really tried at all since, like, I know, Norwich 4 years ago or something when we started playing or West Ham when he scored.
Arteta did say Ethan could play up front. Like, I'm not against it. I don't know who that. Well, that probably means Sterling.
Gabriel Magalhaes up front as well, man. And then
to be fair, our defenders are doing their jobs, man. How do you feel about us going on this warm weather training camp to Dubai anyways?
We need to, man. Or we got to stop telling guys that we're going. Don't post no pictures, nothing. Because now if we come back and we lose, they're like, oh, you man went to Dubai for nothing. But we definitely need that, I can't lie. Because it seems as though whenever we go there, I don't know what they man are eating, or I don't know if Klopp's borrowed some asthma pumps or something. I don't know, but we come back to yard and we start looking like a serious team again. So keep going, man.
The final thing I want to ask you is, like, obviously Lewis Kelly's doing his thing. You've touched on it. I don't expect you to say everything again, yeah. But he's likely to be
Ashley Cole. He's better than Ashley Cole. That's what I say. He's better.
Yeah, you're doing that already. You're one of them doing it already.
It's too late, man. Save that.
I mean, it's big him up because he's got his own chart now. Obviously, the very fact that he's being compared to Ashley Cole, and he's had a mad introduction to life in the Premier League. He's been booked before he even came on the pitch. He had the whole stuff with Haaland in the 2 games. Now he had the red card rescinded. He rattled the Spurs fans, and it looks like he's going to be called up into the England squad. How do you feel about that?
Good, happy for him, to be fair. And I think I just hope, yeah. I'm sure you remember a year or 2 ago, I was also very much heavily backing the mate Maitland-Niles, innit? Who didn't want to do the right back. Yeah. I hope that if it comes to it, again, we have no idea. Lewis Kelly might be an incredible midfielder as well, innit? He might end up being elite there. But if I'm him, I'm looking at England's midfielders with Bellingham and, let's say, Kobe and
the list goes on.
Eaton coming through and that. I'm thinking, you know what? If my only competition for a position is Lewis Hall, I'm going to get minutes. I think make the left back spot your own and be the guy. Because it's not as though he's playing left back 20 years ago where it's just, let me just defend.
You're basically a midfielder anyways.
Yeah, he's basically Zinchenko who can defend. Yeah, that's what he's giving us right now. So I'm happy for him. Hopefully he does get called up. He seems like, I've seen videos where his mum speaking and that she seems to be like, again, grounding him very well, making him stay humble, if you will. So I'm glad that he's got like a good support around him, because obviously for some guys it might get to their head, innit? Like we see he's a very emotional
very grounded,
guy. He's a very emotional, but then I feel like he's still within the means of being composed, innit? Like him and Ethan are like polar opposites in that regard, I suppose, where Ethan, you don't even know what he's thinking, bro. He might just be thinking what he's having for dinner or something, and let me just go score a goal real quick. Whereas Lewis Skelly, he takes everything. He's like a fan basically playing for us, innit? Like he's basically just jump from the stands and just start playing. So I'm happy for him. Hopefully him balling out for England means that we're not going to see Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher crying about him celebrating and being happy, and they'll start supporting him. But
bro, it's jarring because they say, well, on one hand, they say Arsenal are soft. Then we'll stop being a bunch of pussycats. They've got an issue. They say footballers lack personality. He's showing it. And it's not like he's, just doing madness and he's unfocused. Like you mentioned Zinchenko, there was many times it looked like Zinchenko weren't focusing. It looks like Lewis Skelly does his job. He's got that quiet confidence about himself. And he just understands it. And he's from a great family home. He's clearly grounded. Don't think he's better than anyone. Listens to the manager, keeps his feet on the ground. But above all, you need that nastiness. And I'm sure you've seen the Ian Wright interview when he's like, oh, you know what? I don't fear no one. I want to play against them. Yeah, like that's what you want to hear. And again, it's one thing saying that. It's another thing correlating that on the pitch. And I love it from him. If we didn't know he was 17, 18, just jumped in the first team, he would look like a veteran. And I agree with you. I think he could be a midfielder one day. He's playing in midfield anyways. You never know. Saka started his career one and then elsewhere. But Arteta likes versatile players. He's doing his thing. And he saved us a bunch of money, man. So, yeah, keep doing your thing, him and Ethan. And we want some more to come through. Before I let you go, let people know they can find you, content to come out, all that jazz, man.
Yeah, nowadays, mostly I'm on TikTok, innit? Just rattling other fans and whatnot. And
100 strikers better than yo.
Did you see what Cheeto done? Did you see what Cheeto done?
No.
Cheeto Obi Martin, he reposted the Hoyland one on his TikTok.
See?
So from the comfort of my yard, I'm causing turmoil at the club that I despise the most. So I love it. I hope there was some awkward convos about like, yo, why did you retweet that video about me being... But no, TikTok, Twitter, everything, my eye is the same. Amenia everywhere, IG, wherever you want to find me, you can find me there, man. Much love.
So when's the YouTube videos coming then, man? What's going on?
YouTube is stress, man. I'm not big time like you, where the YouTube algorithm is.
Oh, this guy's with every flipping brand under the sun. I've never been invited to Qatar. I ain't done TikToks with Ronaldo. What's that?
I know that ain't Mr. Talk Sport and that, man.
Allow it, man. You went to
my mic in my room, bro.
Allow it, man. You went to that I saw you went Ballon d'Or ceremony or one of them things. Allow it, man. You went to one of them.
The best awards. It wasn't quite Ballon d'Or. It was the best awards.
It was still wavy. Nobody's ever seen me put on a little shiny suit and do all of that. So
soon.
By God's grace, man, we got a lot of work to do, man. But Amenya, as usual, man, it's always blessed chatting with you. People, make sure you're following the TikToks and the Twitches and everything. If you're too lazy to actually listen to what the man said, check out the description. I've got you covered, man. And let us know your thoughts. To some of you, we're talking a bag of bollocks. To some of you, agree, disagree. That's what makes football subjective. But yeah, man, like, comment, subscribe, follow on the socials. We're out, people, man. Safe. Come on.
Like